Today, on Be Something Wonderful, how to be greater than the 3D you, mastering your emotions. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I heard from one of you that said, Tom, I'm aligned a lot of the times with my wish fulfilled and feeling pretty good. But then there's these things that just come out of the blue that happen and in 3D reality that I react to, and I start feeling that negative emotion. And I just don't know how to get around that. I was wondering if you could talk about that. Well, guys, we're going to talk about this today and more. So the first thing I want to say is that it's not about feeling good all the time. I really want you to hear this, right? Because trying to feel good all the time is a negative experience. Trying to feel positive all the time is a negative experience. But allowing yourself to feel whatever you feel and feel it to the end and then release it is a positive experience. Hear this again. Allowing yourself to feel what you judge as negative emotion and feeling it to the end and then releasing it is a positive experience. That's what we're talking about. It's really along those lines of that person, I think it's Mark Manson, who wrote a book about the art of not giving an F. But he talks about the backwards law. And this idea of the backwards law is that when you put a lot of effort in, that creates a negative experience. It's when you accept a negative experience or accept unwanted outcomes and then choose again, that becomes a positive experience. It's along those lines, right? Accepting a negative experience is a positive experience. Desiring or trying to have all positive experiences is a negative experience. That's what he's talking about. But let's unpack this, really unpack it like we've never unpacked it before today. Being spiritual, and some of you asked me, what are your thoughts on that? I've been even on podcasts where they interviewed me. And my answer is always the same. It's not about being happy or feeling good all the time, right? Trying to do that is a negative experience, right? On the contrary, it's about allowing yourself to feel everything. Feel everything and then choose again. Knowing, and I've said this often, knowing that your choice is creative and that you create it all. So feeling is the language of your soul and higher self. You don't want to shut those down, whatever those feelings are. That's important communication between you and your higher self, right? When you deny or resist your feelings and emotions, you are resisting and denying the dimensionally larger you. Emotions, not, right? That dimensionally larger you. It's about thinking again and choosing again. That's the message from your soul or your higher being when you're feeling negative emotion. When you're feeling bad, the message is, hey, Tom, think again, choose again. You're thinking something that's not true of yourself. Or you're in a situation that doesn't serve your highest good. Or you're around people that don't serve your highest good. All of those are messages from that higher you when you're feeling that negative emotion. Let's unpack this a little bit more. Allow yourself to have these unwanted feelings, emotions without them having you. It's not the fact that you have those negative emotions or you're not feeling positive. It's that you identify with them and then you feel that's who you are, and then those emotions have you versus you having them. Hear this loud and clear. In other words, don't identify with them as who you are. It's your higher self telling you exactly the opposite, that you're thinking something, doing something, with people, whatever it is, that's not who you truly are, that doesn't serve you. That's what your higher self, that's your emotional guidance system working perfectly. beautifully, right? So, in other words, don't identify with them as who you are. On the contrary, because they feel so bad, because these things feel so bad, it indicates that that is not who you really are. That's the message from your higher self. The further away you feel, or separation from that pure love that you are, of which you are made, and that's really what you are, the worse you feel. Because you are that pure love. You are that joy that doesn't change, that love that doesn't change. You are gratitude, and the more separated you feel from it, the worse you feel. Do you hear this? Because you're never separated. You can only think you are. And the more that you think you're separated, the worse you feel. You only feel what you only ever feel what you're thinking. So if you think you're separated from God, if you think you're separated from your higher self, if you think things that are not serving your higher good, then that feels bad. You are love. Anything else you feel less than that is not who you really are. Hear this. And sometimes we have a set point that's so much lower than that love we are, but yet it's not enough to move us to do something about it, right? So we sort of create some things that we want, mostly things that we don't want, sort of a mediocre state of being, right? I know, and I know, I've been years in that. So let's keep going. Stop insisting that you feel good all the time. Stop insisting that. Trying to feel good all the time feels bad. I've been talking about this. But allowing yourself to feel whatever you're feeling and then releasing it feels good. Go for that, right? Trying to be positive is a negative experience. That's why they called it toxic positivity. The group that calls that toxic positivity, I don't like the term because I love positivity, but that's the idea, because you're trying to be positive. Trying to be positive is a negative experience. That's really all that means, right? Giving yourself permission to feel negative and then choosing again is a positive experience. Not only that, it's what you're here to do as that soul, right? To experience all of it. We're here to experience all these, the world of relativity, the ups and downs, the highs and lows, the good and bad, the right and wrong, and then choose again, right? But remember, the ocean is who you really are. That deep ocean, that deep of love is who you really are. The waves are just temporary, but you're identifying with every single wave. Right? And then going and then thinking that's who you are, right? Wow, that's big. Well-being is not a state of being happy all the time. I really want you to hear this, right? It's not a state of being happy all the time. Rather, it's about being identified with the ocean that I just showed you, that deeper well or larger part of you, who you really are, and not the temporary waves of feelings and emotions. Hear this, because even as you rest in well-being or fulfillment, sometimes as we call it, you're still going to have some waves. You're just not going to identify with them. When you're resting in wish fulfilled, or you're resting in that well-being of who you are, or if you're vibrating at a high level, the level of enlightened beings, or towards that, then you're resting in that deeper knowing of who you really are. Right? You're not identifying with those temporary waves, right? Your feelings and emotions is your body translating what you are thinking. Hear this. Your feelings and emotion is your body translating what you're thinking, feeling, and believing, right? Your inner being is communicating with you. Your body is translating that thought, translating those assumptions, translating those beliefs. That's how you know if there's beliefs or assumptions that don't serve you, they don't feel good, right? So remember, feeling good, well-being is natural. It's your dwelling place. When you feel bad, that's your emotional guidance system telling you, pay attention, right? You're either thinking something, assuming something, believing something that doesn't serve you. You're around something or someone that doesn't serve you, or you're about to do something, or you're doing something that doesn't serve you. Wow! That could only be love. How can something be more loving than that, right? Wow! Remember, it's it's not that it's God's will. God's will is your will. You are one with God. God's not going to override your free choice. So God's will is your will, but it's you lining up or aligning with more with God's will. Because God's will for you is just love, right? But God's will is God wills what you will, because God's not going to override that, right? So the closer you get, the higher you rise to that love of which you are, the more your choices will be aligned with God, with what God would choose for you, right? So let's unpack this a little bit more. Thoughts plus feelings equal your state of being. This really is the teachings of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love his teachings. He really unpacks this brilliantly and so clearly. Your state of being equals your reality. What's your reality? That which you perceive, receive, and manifest. That's your reality, right? So your state of being is your thoughts plus feelings, not just thoughts and not just feelings, but mind plus body, right? It aligns, mind plus soul, right? Thought plus feelings, right? Remember, your soul feels and knows, right? So it's your conscious thoughts plus what your soul feels and knows equals your state of being, right? But many times we don't follow what we feel and know, what our soul feels and knows. We override it with our 3D mind, with our analytical mind. And we recognize that we might be feeling bad, but we don't pay attention to it. And that's your heart, your soul saying you're not aligned. Your heart and mind are not aligned. That's alignment of heart and mind. Mind and heart, thought and feeling, right? Joy, love, gratitude are natural to who you really are. Those are the elevated emotions that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about. They're elevated because they're who you truly are. But you can feel those, right? And really, these emotions have no opposite, really, right? The true highest emotions of who you are, what you're made of, right? But you can feel these on a sort of a lower level, right? Gratitude, joy, and love. But the highest level, the most elevated, there's no opposite. It's who you are. Those are the highest emotions you can feel. When you feel and release unwanted negative emotions, stored in your subconscious as memories, because that's what happens, right? We have an experience. We feel something about that experience, right? And then it gets stored in your body or your subconscious, right? It's stored there as a memory. And then when another event comes up that's unrelated, it triggers that memory. It triggers that feeling, right? You become more and more of who you really are. So when you feel and release unwanted negative emotions, this really gets to the Dr. David Hawkins technique of letting go. Feeling it fully, feeling it to the end, because then it will end. And then release it, not suppressing it, repressing it, or even expressing it, right? Because expressing it even attracts more of that energy. So although when you express it, you release some of it, you actually hold on to more than you probably initially had, right? You're still burying it. Feel and release unwanted negative emotions stored in. So release doesn't mean to go shout and go take it out on somebody. It means release it within and out, right? Subconscious memories. You become more and more of who you really are, right? That's why you get triggered. It's stored there, right? That's why you got triggered. So let's unpack this a little bit more. If you insist on thinking and feeling equal to the circumstances in your life, this is Dr. Joe Dispenza, you will reaffirm that particular reality. Wow, that's powerful. So he's saying if you keep thinking and feeling the same way, then your reality is going to be the same. New faces, new places, but same old reality. It's a new reality. You're creating it in every moment, but it looks a lot like the old. You're affirming that particular type of reality. Right? This is big. And this is what he says. He goes on to say, to break the habit of being yourself. In other words, to break the habit of being the 3D self, you have to think greater than the circumstances of your life. Wow. Be greater than the feelings that you have memorized in your body and live in a new line of time. Wow. So he's saying, so let's just take it from time and then back up. Our belief in linear time, our belief in this, but linear time influences us as a core belief, and we start thinking in linear terms, right? We're uncomfortable with the paradox. We're uncomfortable with either or, right? Right? Or no, we're comfortable with either or, but we're comfortable with and, right? It can be both, but we start wanting to live with absolutes, right? When the only absolute is God and love, of which you are. Everything else changes. So it's living as time. Everything is now. This is what he's saying. You transcend time. You're creating everything new in the current moment. And then you transcend your feelings. You become greater than those feelings that are stored in your body. How do you do it? By allowing yourself to feel them. Feel them to the end and then release them, and then keep doing that. And then you think greater than your circumstances. Then the 3D circumstances, you no longer start reacting to them, right? You're thinking greater, you're feeling greater, and you are greater than linear time. That's what Joe's talking about here. To break the habit of being yourself, you have to think greater than the circumstances of your life. Be greater than the feelings that you have memorized in your body and live in a new line of time. It's quantum time, right? Where everything's happening now. Where we live in a hologram, right? Where in every part of the hologram contains the whole, right? Where it's a non-local universe, so it's all happening. Everything's happening right now, everywhere, and within every part of that everywhere is everything. That's big. When one holds a dream, a desire, a wish, independent of the environment, that's greatness. Wow, I love this quote by Joe Dispenza. When one holds a dream, a desire, a wish, this is your wish fulfilled, or what you want out of your life, independent of the environment, that's greatness. Independent of the environment, independent of the circumstances, independent of how you feel within, independent of time, knowing that when you hold a dream, you transcend time, you transcend your body and your feelings, and you transcend the environment or the 3D conditions. That's what Joe Dispenza is talking about, transcending the conditions of 3D, transcending the idea that you're a body, and transcending the idea of linear time. It's all happening in the now moment. This is where miracles happen. This is where magic happens. You're not moved by 3D conditions. You're not moved by unwanted feelings and emotions. You're not moved by the constraints of linear time. That's what he's talking about. That's powerful, right? Then reality has no other choice. When you do this, when you live greater than the environment, greater than your body or the feelings and emotions that you feel from time to time, or those waves, greater than time, now the reality has no other choice but to bend to your greater intention of wish fulfilled. Do you hear this? It has no other choice. That world mirror, the reality mirror that you're staring into, has no other choice but to reflect back that greater intention. Because now you're greater than the 3D conditions. Now you're greater than those occasional emotions, negative emotions that you get or you feel in your body. Now you're greater than this idea of linear time, where you're running out of time, where things are in the future, or you're regretting the past and you're holding on and you're dragging the past forward. Now you're timeless. Now you're limitless. Now you're more like God, right? That's what we're talking about. Consciousness, it's really the consciousness of your greater mind becomes more of what is active in your conscious mind, right? You're consciously aware of that greater you now more and more and more. That's what we're talking about. That's how to be greater than the 3D you. That's how to master your emotions. I am your host, Tom Kieran, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, and then like and share our videos. That really helps us get our message out. It helps others see the videos, right? Hit us up on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful, on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Caron. You can visit our website at tomcaron.com or BeSomethingWonderful.com, or you can write me anytime at info@BeSomethingWonderful.com. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, with great love and great light, this is Tom. See you soon.